sort of only after I had that experience was I able to say that, wow, that's definitely not for me. I really need to avoid this. And the same for cigarettes. I mean, I tried it. I said, this is terrible. But I certainly have to take some risks to see what I do and don't like.
Right, right. Let's see. What about crowds in your school? Do you have certain crowds, like, you know, the freaks and the jocks, or the...
I think so, sure. My school's actually more academically oriented, so the jocks aren't per se present in the school.
Do you still call them jocks?
No. I mean, we sort of say, hey, we don't have any jocks here. There are kids who play sports, but not as prevalent as in other schools. You won't see kids wearing their varsity jackets around the halls. But there are kids who are incredibly gifted with computer science, and they'll always be in the computer lab, fooling around with something on the internet.
What are they called?
Computer nerds, computer geeks, sure.
Okay.
They definitely have a name for them. But yeah, there are those type of people, and they hang out together in one crowd. And usually I won't associate, or I should say my crowd that I usually associate with wouldn't associate with their crowd. So there's generally not much intermingling going on.
What crowd are you in?
Most of my friends are seniors. A lot of that reason is because we hang out most together, just literally because we have the same classes, so we're around each other more. But sort of people who have had similar experiences to me, or who can help me better my experiences or extend those.
What about your future? Do you have plans for what you want to do after you finish high school?
I have an idea. I definitely want to go to college, that's for sure. But in college, I know I want to slow down, so to speak. But at the same time I want to slow down, I want to be able to absorb more. For example, I think I want to go pre-med. I think I want to study pre-medicine and eventually become a doctor. But at the same time, I want to spend a semester abroad. I want to do a semester-long community service project in some foreign country. I want to go on those kind of foreign aid projects. I want to spend a semester here, spend a semester there, do this for a semester. I want to minor in law and major in something else. I want to get French. At the same time that I want to slow down and not rush myself, I want to be able to absorb much more so that I can, again, see what I like, see what I don't, and make better choices based on that.
Good answer.
Thanks.
Do you worry about the SATs at all?
Yes and no. This attitude is the same as my grades. Although I'm certainly not, I've never been an A+ student, never been a straight A student. I'm not going to get a 1600 on the SATs. I didn't, I already taken them. But certainly they play a role in the admissions process. So you need to have decent SATs to get into any college. You're not going to get into a college with 400 combined SATs. But at the same time, SATs and grades are sort of part of that admissions game, if you will. Sort of something you have to do, that isn't really a tribute to your character or anything like that, but it's some sort of societal standard that you need to tailor yourself to in order to get somewhere. And that's sort of the attitude I have towards them. But I know that SATs aren't what's going to get me into college. Likewise, grades. So I'm not worried about them in that sense.
Okay. Now I'm going to read you a little story
Okay.
and then ask you a couple questions.
All right.
Okay. In Europe, a woman was dying from a special kind of cancer. In the same town where the woman and her husband Heinz lived, a druggist had discovered a possible cure. But the medicine cost much more than the woman or her husband could afford. So Heinz, the sick woman's husband, then borrowed all the money he could, but still had only half of what he needed. Heinz told the druggist that his wife was dying and asked him to sell the drug cheaper or to let him pay later. The druggist replied, "No, I discovered the drug and I'm going to make money from it." Heinz then became desperate and broke into the store to steal the drug for his wife. Should Heinz have stolen the drug?
Absolutely. There are some things that I think that we can't understand yet. I think love is one of them. I think it's one of those things that you don't know until you experience it, certainly. I know my father used to say the same thing to me. He says, I would say to him, how do you know Mom was for you? And he said, oh, well, I didn't until I saw her. He said that he might have seen her any other day and might have written her off, or might have seen her with her crowd and wouldn't have gone up to her like he did when she was alone in the corner doing work. but he saw her, and there was an instant connection. And I've experienced at least degrees of that, certainly. So I can attest to that. So I think that's one of the things that we can't really understand yet. And to punish someone because of going above and beyond out of love for somebody, I think goes over the bounds of our understanding.
So if you had to say, was Hines right or wrong to steal the drug?
Oh man, I'd have to say he was right. I mean, he certainly couldn't live with himself if he hadn't. I mean, he would not stop himself saying, oh, you know what, I'll spend the rest of my life in jail, I better not. There was someone he cared about so much, and he put his own reputation and even life on the line to do so. And I don't think someone would do that unless they felt justified in doing so. So I think he's right.
Right. Good. Okay, how about this? This is fun. What if we didn't have thumbs?
What if we didn't have thumbs?
What would happen?
Man, I think the whole world would change, kind of. I know a friend of mine who's a lefty, and in 5th grade we were just shooting the breeze one day, and she said, you know, the whole world's made for righties. I said, what are you talking about, the whole world's made for righties? She said, well, door handles all open a certain way, tables are made a certain way, desks in school are all made for righties. You'll notice that when you get in, you can prop your right arm up but not your left one. And sort of for the next week or so, I kept my eye out, and she was right. I mean, the whole world is sort of tailored to the majority, the righties. And so I think if we were to lose something as simple but critical as our thumb, the whole world would change. Maybe a bunch of little things, but all those little things would add up to something major, and I think the whole world would be different.
Yeah. What if people had 3 eyes?
3 eyes.
Yeah. Where would you put your 3rd eye?
Oh, man. I think in the back of my head. Not just to satisfy the cliche, you know, you've got eyes in the back of your head, but I mean, that came from somewhere. I mean, it's tough to walk straight ahead when you know there's something going on behind you. You know, everyone turns around to see what's going on. To sort of be able to have that perception, to be able to know what's going on all around you without having to break your stride is not only comforting, but is an exciting feeling. I'd want it there.
There you go.
Well, what about, like, drugs and alcohol and other, you know, things that are pretty rampant in teenage culture? Is that a problem for you guys, or does it exist?
I think it exists.
Oh, it exists a lot, yeah, obviously.
I just don't think people, like, we're not the type of, like, I don't know. I guess, like Joel said, if it's not within, like, your group of people that you kind of associate yourself with, I don't think you'll find that just, like, randomly. Like,
Yeah.
we don't have, like, we don't.
People don't, like, pressure other
Yeah,
people to
don't
do it
pressure other
unless,
people.
yeah, you know?
Exactly.
Like, you don't.
Walk away from you if you don't drink or smoke with them. If you don't want to do it, that's on you.
Yeah.
No one's gonna force. No one's gonna like say, okay, I'm not your friend anymore if you don't drink
Yeah.
this or whatever. If you do it, you do it. If you don't, you don't.
And so you said that it kind of depends on your group or whatever. Do you, is there a group of people who are like the party people or the people who use drugs and alcohol a lot? Or,
There's definitely the certain people that you would see at parties.
Right.
but it's
But,
not a
like-
group
But
of
it's,
people.
like,
It's
different.
not, and it's usually people that don't hang out with each other anyway all the time. Like,
Right.
It'll be like a few people from different groups of friends that are the ones that would want to go, like, hang out and party or whatever.
Depending on whose, like, party it is.
It's really pretty random.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Some people just, like, would show up